All right, good Friday to you guys. Hope you're having a good start to your day. Wanted to come on and give you an update about the changing weather we're going to have this weekend. Of course, we're going to be tracking some rain tonight into Saturday morning, and then it's going to be about the cold that's coming into play on Sunday. Right now, can't see the cold air yet. It's still up into Canada, so even in the northern plains, temperatures are chilly, but nothing unusual, and there's really no real cold air across the lower 48 right now. But as we move into the weekend, it's going to change, of course, in a big way. Here's a look at your current temperatures, generally below freezing. Athens at 17, so another hard freeze for some, and that's been the story of January. We're certainly running below normal in the temperature department, but hey, if you get a chance to enjoy the weather yesterday, we hit 58 in Chattanooga. Do it today. We're talking 58 once again, 53 in Athens, a lot of sunshine, so a perfect Friday to get out there, just really enjoy the weather. That might help to melt some of those shady spots where the snow is still sticking around. Of course, last week at this time, we were talking heavy snow starting to move in across the Tennessee Valley, but that is certainly not the case today. In fact, we're going to have some really nice weather for much of the afternoon and evening on Friday. Then our next round of rain starts to move in after about 10, 11 o'clock. Overnight, the rain continues. Could be heavy at times, but nothing severe. All rain event for the Tennessee Valley Saturday, and then showers continue into the afternoon before gradually tapering off. And then by Saturday evening, some of that could transition to some snow showers, and some of the higher elevations along the plateau are back into the Blue Ridge Mountains, and that's a trend that could continue into your Sunday as well. So we could have some valley flurries and a little bit of mountain snow and plateau snow throughout the day on Sunday as that Arctic air mass moves in. But ahead of all of that, we could pick up a solid quarter of an inch to an inch of rainfall here across all of our coverage areas. So nothing that's going to cause any flooding. And we need the rain. We're still in a drought. But that's kind of kicking off those changes, the rain coming in tonight into early Saturday. So let's take a look at next week, because that's what's on everyone's mind. And I'm going to try to get through this fairly quickly because it's almost the weekend, and I know many of you probably have some plans. So I want to break it all down, but do it in a concise manner today. What we're watching next week is the potential for an Arctic air mass that's going to be coming in Sunday, Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday. With that, there's going to be a fairly active southerly tracking jet stream, or the storm track, I should say, just to kind of clear that up. So as this Arctic air moves down from Canada, we're going to start to notice temperatures dropping off very quickly throughout the day on Sunday. Deep troughing coming our way. How far does this cold air push, and is it going to be as strong as models are advertising? Because it's not as strong and it doesn't push as far to the south, that storm track could end up being a little further to the north. But early next week is going to be bone-chilling cold regardless. Right now, it looks like that storm track is going to get suppressed down into the open waters of the Gulf, which give a winter weather potential to areas along the Gulf Coast. If that cold air doesn't push as far to the south, which is a possibility, we could still be in play for some winter weather as we get into the middle of next week. But it does look like that storm track is going to be pretty far to the south based on all the data that's coming in this morning. So here's a look at your scenario that is looking most likely as we get into Tuesday, Wednesday. That's the period of winter weather that I'm watching, the winter weather potential, I should say. Low pressure develops off the southeast coast of Texas, tracks all the way to the east along the Florida Peninsula, giving places like Houston, New Orleans, Mobile, Alabama, parts of the Florida Panhandle, South Georgia, including Savannah, and the coastal Carolinas a potential for some winter weather, while this would be a dry and cold solution. Now, we could get a few flurries if it takes this track, but it wouldn't be anything significant. Now, there's another scenario. I believe I had this as, let's see, scenario 1 yesterday, but this is the other scenario that we could possibly have. This would bring that low pressure track a little further north. That cold air doesn't suppress the track as far to the south, gives us a better chance of seeing some snow Tuesday and Wednesday. Right now, this is looking like the less likely scenario, but still a possibility nonetheless. Here's a look at your European tracker. So let's just track all this out. This is a possible solution getting into Tuesday morning and afternoon. Yes, that is snow breaking out from Houston to New Orleans, trying to climb across the Gulf Coast. By the evening hours on Tuesday, some of that light snow tries to shift north of I-20, but some heavier snow could be coming down in New Orleans, Mobile, Alabama, and even the Florida Panhandle. That'll continue through Wednesday morning as this tracks to the east, and then there could be a winter weather threat forming along the coastal portions of South and North Carolina, maybe coastal Georgia, south of I-20 into the Florida Panhandle before this moves out going into Wednesday afternoon. So that's an unusual look. It's happened before. Back in 2014, parts of the Gulf Coast got a little bit of snow, and back in 1989, right before Christmas, there was a big snowstorm that put over a foot of snow down across portions of South Carolina, including Myrtle Beach. So big time changes on the way. Here's a look at that snow potential for our European model. This keeps all the accumulating snow, with the exception of whatever falls in some of the higher elevations on Sunday, down along the Gulf Coast. So a pretty solid swath of 2, 3, 4, even 5, 6 inches all the way to the Florida Panhandle. Again, this is an unusual look. Tallahassee, Florida could get accumulating snow. Savannah, Georgia. So it's a possibility. It's definitely something worth noting. The GFS, a little bit different, had been suppressing this all the way into the open waters of the Gulf, but the track now a little further to the north with some of the latest guidance. And I think this was last night. So let's look at the 6Z, which is the latest that came in this morning. Notice how far south that low pressure is in the Gulf of Mexico, still giving snow to places like New Orleans, Mobile, Alabama, the Florida Panhandle. Really could be a big event for South Georgia if this scenario plays out, and parts of the coastal Carolinas, trying to move a little further to the north as that low pressure rides up the Carolina coastline, but that would keep us cold and dry as well. And then at the end of the week, the GFS was trying to materialize a little bit of a winter threat for the Tennessee Valley Thursday into Friday. Again, not a whole lot of good agreement on that, but it is a possibility. So with the GFS, you get the snow maybe up to 10, 12 inches across southeast Texas, a good swath across Louisiana into South Georgia, up the Carolina coastline, which still keeps us mainly dry. But this does have that system trying to put some accumulating snow later in the week here across portions of the Tennessee Valley. Not buying that yet, but it is a possible solution we're throwing out there. So let's take a look at some of the Ensemble guidance. Probability of at least 1 inch of snow through Friday morning. According to the Canadian, it's a pretty good shot for most of the southeast. I think this is overdoing it. The Canadian has a known cold bias. But here's a look at the European Ensemble. We're only going to take this through Wednesday morning. It looks like the best chance of a 1 inch of snow or accumulating snow that could cause impacts going to be in southern Louisiana and southeast Texas, including the Houston metro area, which is bizarre, up the Carolina coastline. So south of I-20, likely to be the best place for some accumulating snow if this scenario plays out. This will change because the model guidance has been a little wonky with this, not really picking up on this storm system well, which a lot of times the Arctic air is either overestimated or underestimated. So we'll see how it plays out and things resolve over the weekend. But if you look at the European, let's see, this was actually the Euro. This is the GFS. I forgot to relabel that. We can do that on the fly though. GFS. So this is the GFS, still bringing that best swath of 1 inch of snow or more. South Georgia, South Alabama, parts of Mississippi, and Louisiana. So right now favoring south of I-20 event along the Gulf Coast, but certainly that can change. And of course, we also have Thursday and Friday that we have to look out for winter weather potential. But here's a look at your national blend of models. This is putting all the forecast models and just coming up with a general average through Friday morning, maybe up to a 1/2 inch across the Tennessee Valley. So right now, no major winter weather threat, and that icing potential kind of stays down to our south, and it's a pretty low end threat at the moment. But the big story, I think, is still going to be the cold air. Of course, there's still a lot to resolve throughout the weekend on exactly how strong this cold air is and where that storm track forms. But I'm still watching next week because I think we could still sneak out some winter weather. But right now, it is trending a little colder and drier. Again, that could change, but that's what we're looking at now. Futurecast temperatures going to start to drop throughout the day on Sunday. We'll start in the 30s, end in the 20s, and then overnight we drop well into the teens, maybe even the single digits. Moving into Monday morning, temperatures could be in the single digits along the mountains and into the plateau. Here in the valley, we're going to struggle to get out of the 20s. It's going to be a cold Monday, and then Monday night we drop back into the teens. Tuesday morning going to be bitterly cold. Tuesday afternoon still not getting above freezing. So we're going to have a prolonged period of below freezing temperatures. and then by the time we get into Wednesday morning, back in the teens and 20s. So that cold air really going to start to move in on Wednesday. Check out these wind chills. They're going to be brutal. By Sunday evening, wind chills dropping down into the low teens and single digits. By the time we wake up on Monday morning, those gusty winds could lead to wind chill factors right around 0, maybe even below 0 in some of our mountain and plateau communities. And then throughout the day on Monday, those wind chills still in the teens and 20s. So it is going to be bitterly cold Monday and Tuesday especially. And then by Tuesday morning, we're going to have those real feel values in the teens. So the big story, of course, is going to be this big time outbreak of Arctic air that's going to be moving across the country. This is a look at your 7-day forecast. Rain tomorrow morning, snow showers possible in our mountain communities and along the plateau Sunday, maybe even a few valley flurries. Monday, cold and breezy. Wind chill is going to be in the teens all day long. And then going into Tuesday, Wednesday, still watching that low end potential for some winter weather. Right now, it looks like it's trending further to the south. So our friends along the Gulf Coast could get a little bit of winter weather. And then we start to claw our way back into the 40s. But again, this will change. A lot of times model guidance has a hard time with the Arctic air. So continue to check back for updates. And in the meantime, enjoy your Friday.